Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the latest business chat with me, Glenys Chatterley from EBN. Jury's still out of whether I explain what that means, but for today I will. Effective Business Network. Today I've got with me the fabulous Jayne Buckley, and as you can see from the screen, JB Therapy Services. And it's really interesting what she does, so I'm really looking forward to chatting to her. Jayne, good morning, my lovely.
Good morning to you.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, how you got there, all of that stuff, and I can sit back and relax.
Okay, so a really brief synopsis of early years working in London in advertising marketing, thinking that the world began and ended with the label on a tin of beans. Then I got married, I had my son, we started up a family business in print finishing. So I was lucky enough to be able to work within that, really on the financial side, which worked around family life really well. And then life happened and things get thrown at you, and I decided to retrain as a counsellor, psychotherapist and hypnotherapist in my mid-40s. So here I am sort of 10 years later with a thriving private practice here based in Essex. And loving it, actually, really loving it.
Fantastic. First of all, you don't look like 10 years past mid-40s. And the second thing is, for those of you who listen to this internationally, I'm sure there are millions, Essex is in the UK. Really good, really good county. Fact for Essex, we have the most entrepreneurs of anywhere in Britain.
Is that right?
Yes. Yeah, no, I don't lie on these. I mean, I might bend the truth a bit. I barely lie. So tell us what it is that you like about what you do.
I think it's because you can see the progress of people becoming them real selves again. Sometimes people can come in really confused. Life throws people some really difficult things to deal with. And the strength to be able to reach out and get some help is amazing to start with. And they sort of come in as this feeling as though they're really broken, there's something wrong with them. And once you can get them to start to see that actually most of the time their brain and their body is functioning normally, and it's about what's happened to them, not that they're broken. And that is a real light bulb moment for some people.
Yeah, I think just full disclosure, and Jayne does know this, in a previous life I did some counselling, and I think it's I found that it was that human spirit thing, that amazing resilience people have, and almost for some, whatever life threw at them, they just fell down, got up, shook themselves and carried on. So yeah, it was always a very positive thing. So so you're based in Essex, and do you do other, do you only do face-to-face stuff, or what other stuff do you do?
Okay, so the majority of everything was face-to-face before, whether that be with one-to-one clients, and I work with from children when I was training, especially, and when I was doing my volunteer work, from children as young as 5 in schools and things. I seem to have a bit of a niche at the moment within the local area for young people and adolescents and young adults. I work with adults, couples, relationships, family therapy. So there's a vast range, and actually I really like that because it gives me a good balance. I find if I'm working with too much of one thing, it can be quite overwhelming yourself as well. And sometimes you can get the tiniest bit of sort of inspiration and something else comes to mind when you're working in a different field that you think, oh, that's going to work there. So to have a broader range is much better.
And I think I remember that you do some work within companies as well.
I do, mainly within local companies at the moment, although the likes of the pandemic have obviously meant that we've all had to transfer online. So there are a couple of companies at the moment that I'm working with, and we are coming up with the plan for me to be able to offer in-house counselling for those that are further away, so it would make it more beneficial for it to be online, really.
Fantastic.
So yeah, I go into companies and I can do presentations and wellbeing presentations and mental health presentations, and then as part of their wellbeing offer to their employees, they will pay for 4 or 6 sessions to come and see me, and that could be a work related or an outside related problem. Obviously, you know, it's very difficult for people to leave their own problems at the door, so whatever happens, it has an impact on productivity in the company. And it just is seen as a benefit, you know, that the employer sees the benefit of it, but then the employees also really benefit from it.
Yeah, I think when I did it within a company, and I used to say, people used to come in and say, "Is this confidential?" And I used to say, "Yes, unless you tell me you're breaking the law or you're breaking company policy, then we have to agree how we take that forward." And you could sort of already see their shoulders go down a bit, because, okay, I can tell you anything. But yeah, it's so you talked about you know, taking on the strain of and mixing it up helped with that. How else do you deal with all the stuff that comes at you?
Well, as with any counsellor, you have to have your own supervision all the time anyway, and we're quite used to dipping in and out of some therapy at times as well ourselves. You know, we do actually end up practicing what we preach quite often. You know, we are therapists, but we're human too. And I think also, actually, that's one of the reasons why I enjoy it so much now, is that as you get older, you've got more life experiences, and there's more understanding, I guess, that you can bring to the party as well, in terms of what people may be going through.
Yeah, and I think also that I certainly, I know part of mine, because I obviously had all that sort of peer support and also counselling. A part of mine was I had quite a long journey home and into the office, so I'd load it up in the morning when I was travelling in and dump it as I was coming home. So by the time I walked through the front door, I could
Yes.
do that.
I mean, mine here, when I'm working from home, I've got 2 clinics. I have a place in Billericay that I rent and use a couple of days a week, and then I work from home in my cabin in the back garden. And for me, it's the stop off and getting the hose pipe, especially in the summer, and watering the garden, and just taking time with that, and really sort of, sounds a bit woohoo, but you know, watching the water and feeling the water coming through the hose pipe, and it just calms me. It's getting back out there into nature again. And I find that quite calming.
Yeah, I think you just find your own thing. I mean, you know, mine was round the M25, but it still used to make me feel more relaxed when I was when I got home. You find your own way, don't you? So you've been in business how long, did you say?
And private practice has been going for 5 years nearly now.
Right. So what would you say if somebody was looking for somebody like you? I mean, obviously they would come to you because you're fabulous. But if they didn't know about you, what sort of questions do you think they should be asking to try and find somebody like you? You know, what would you say are the main things that they have to decide on?
I mean, obviously with what we do, the fit is so important, and it's really difficult. If you go online and you look in one of the directories, we have to fit within a structure. So everything looks the same. Everybody is saying the same thing. So I would say, you know, look at the picture and have a gut feel as to whether you're going to be able to communicate with that person. The biggest thing is I would say pick 3 or 4, and then if you can, and you're able to do so, which is difficult for some people that are feeling very vulnerable and anxious, but to see whether you can arrange to have a 10-15 minute chat with them, because the way that conversation goes will really tell you whether or not you think it's going to be the right fit.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And would you, I know we do virtual and we do face to face, for me for networking and for you for what you do. Do you think that because of the adjustment people have made, that it's easier to do that virtual stuff than it was?
Yes, the things I've had to get over doing it is a mental block, because with the training it was far more of, you know, you're in the room and you've got to see all the body language and feel the presence and everything else. So that was a mental block. The other mental block for me was my technology skills, which weren't good and still aren't good.
Well, you made it here, so that's okay. Yeah.
That's not what I'm good at. Luckily, I went into therapy, not technology.
Well, it's funny. I used to run a clinic on a Monday afternoon in sunny Romford, also in the UK, for the international people. And the room they gave me a couple of times was one of these that had the lights went off if nobody was in. And you're sitting really quiet. Yes, yes, yeah. You'd be sitting really quiet and you'd be waiting for them to, think through what they were going to say. And all of a sudden the lights would go off and you'd go, excuse me.
I think I've worked in that same office.
It sort of broke the moment, so after a couple of ones of that, I went, do you know what? Don't put me in there anymore. It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
So
I think one of the things as well is that, therapy is hard to come to therapy. There are lots and lots and lots of different types of therapy and lots of different reasons why people come to therapy. I think one of the biggest things as well is, though, that you don't have to be in crisis to come and talk to somebody. The benefit of talking to a totally independent, non-judgmental person when you're in a safe environment, literally being able to do a brain dump, as I call it, and then walk out and leave it all there, is extremely cathartic for people that, to some people may seem as though they've got it all. Yeah. But everybody has a backstory. Everybody has things that are going on that are really important to them.
Yeah. And I think also people think, well, I've got people around me, but they're not objective. They're not, as you said, independent. And so they've got an opinion. Whereas you do not. They can tell you everything, some of which they may not feel able to tell other people, but they can tell you everything. And you don't have an opinion based on your relationship with them outside of the room. So I always think I'm a great advocate for counselling and therapy. And I think that people think you've got all the answers, and of course none of us have. It's working with them to get their answers and sort them. And it's also extremely brave to go and say, help, I need somebody to, because I think if you broke your leg, people would give you sympathy. If your mind goes a bit off in whatever direction, people get a bit wary. Is it going to go all terribly and we're not going to be able to cope? So, no, I think it's a really brave thing when people say, I just need some help. I need somebody to talk to. I need somebody to help me to do this or get through this or explain this or all of that stuff. Yeah.
I'm a big advocate. I know that there's a big thing about men's mental health, and the biggest thing for men is to show a sign of weakness, of which sometimes reaching out can do, although it's actually totally the opposite. And for women, it tends to be more, for adult women, it tends to be more issues that are around either parenting or body image or how they feel about themselves, that are the things that make them feel really, really vulnerable. And being brave and reaching out makes us feel vulnerable. You can't have one without the other, unfortunately.
Yeah, absolutely. So given that you've got a business, it's thriving, I think that was the word you used, which is a fantastic word to hear. What do you wish you'd have known? What advice would you have given or wanted when you first started in business? What's the thing that you've had to learn that's been a bit tricky?
I think one of the things is that you can have a plan, but it doesn't always go according to plan. Roll with it. Yeah. Have a bit of an idea of where you're going, but it is going to meander along the way. And being open to that actually does sometimes lead to much better things. Absolutely. Much better things. The other thing is surround yourself with people that can help with things that you know nothing about. Yes. Because you can I used to take hours and hours and hours trying to sort a technical problem or something or other, and it's just a waste of time, resource and energy. And you can get caught up in something like that, and it's not what I'm good at. It's never what I'm going to be good at.
And it sort of undermines you because you think, well, other people can do this. And it's when you realise actually you can't do everything. You can't know everything. That's the plot. And that's why I network, because that's the thing. It's I do what I do, and I have other people who do what they do who support me.
Mm.
And coming out of the corporate world, it was a big adjustment. I had people around me naturally, organically, they appeared if I needed something.
Yeah.
Sitting at my desk the first day going, okay, So I've got to know I've got to get my stationery and my telephone and make sure my IT works and sort that out and that out and that. Oh, and get some work and do the work. It's, I think people go, yeah, right, yeah, I give up. I'm going back to being employed by somebody,
Well, it's that bit, isn't it, of like, I've got to have everything perfect
Yeah.
before you take that leap of
Yeah.
actually connecting with the outside world, in so much as having clients and things. And I mean, there are still things on my website and stuff that I'll get round to doing one day.
Yeah. There's no
But
rush.
but you do realise that, yes, obviously they're important and you want to be as professional as possible. But, I'm human and things change, and sometimes things fall off the list that I thought were really important, and
Yeah.
they're not actually quite so important.
No, I think I think it was Winston Churchill who said, no plan survives contact with the enemy. And I sort of keep that in the back of my mind, that it doesn't matter, when I used to have a catering business, I'd have a lovely plan for the day. And then at 6 a.m, I'd get a phone call from one of my cafes or somebody saying, I'm not very well. Okay, so rip that plan up, throw it in the air, and get in the uniform and go and serve some sandwiches until you can get somebody else in. So, yeah, it's tricky. But it's, for me, that's part of the excitement of having my own business. It's making the decisions, good, bad, and indifferent, but also that I can go where I want. And like you said, sometimes you go off plan, and that's where the excitement happens. And you think, ooh, and I do, as you know, I do like a good adventure. It's part of life. So in your spare time, when you're not doing that in your shed and watering your plants, what do you like to do?
Um, all things are quite simple, really. I mean, anytime you're building a business, it does become too much of a focus, really. But here we are 5 years in, and I'm having to train myself to have more downtime and to get that work-life balance. So now that we're able to get back out and travel, that's definitely on my list. So self-care, not holidays, they're self-care. So I've been doing quite a bit of that, and always making sure that I've got something planned in the diary. And it doesn't have to be big, doesn't have to be massive, but just something to sort of look forward to.
Yeah.
I'm very lucky. I've still got all my family around me, various parts of the country, but I've got time I can actually go off and I see them, and lots of nieces and nephews and great nieces and nephews. And
I know it you can feel your sort of hair graying as you think of how many generations are behind you, because yeah, it's like, no, I'm really not that old, or maybe I am. Yeah, I think it's funny. I always say to people that this bit, when I say, what do you do in your spare time, is the bit where I go, oh, okay, yeah, I didn't see you. But yours, travel, yay! Having adventures, yay! Just like my
well,
kind of list. Yeah.
I'd like to say, I get up at 6 o'clock every morning and I go to the gym and I do this and I do that, but I don't. And I don't
Yeah.
like the gym, so there's no point signing up for one.
Yeah, I fit in the morning 100 sit-ups, which was part of a challenge, probably 2 years ago, that I just carried on with, and 10 minutes hula hooping. And I have my first drink of the day, do some of that, and then I get back and start doing some paperwork while I have my second drink of the day. And then I start spending time with lovely people like you. So thank you for your time. It's been an absolute blast. It's been great fun, and I knew it would be. I'd just like to say thank you. And for the rest of you who are listening, so can you please watch this to the end? Because otherwise you mess with the algorithms, and we don't want to do that. We're nice people. And can you subscribe and comment and like, tell your friends, and then come back next week, because I'll either be talking to myself if you don't turn up, or me and somebody else will be just talking to each other. Thank you for your time. Bye.